Welcome back to Money on a Mission. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I am joined today by Colin Evans and Dave Evans of Evan Financial Group, and we're talking all about the importance of having a holistic retirement plan, the one that encompasses all of your needs in the retirement years. Dave, I want to ask you a very important question. What is the difference between tax preparation and tax planning, and how does that affect retirees?
That's a great question. Tax preparation typically is done by an accountant or whoever is preparing your income tax, and they are recording history. That's what they're doing. They're not necessarily giving advice. And I've said this to a number of people. Said, you go to your accountant and you say, and you're doing the taxes, and you, as the client, say, hey, should I have an IRA? And he goes, shh, yeah, you'll save, $500 or whatever the number is. He didn't help you with that advice. He's just preparing, he's putting the numbers that you've done on a piece of paper that we're sending to the Internal Revenue Service. Tax preparation and planning tax planning in the future is saying, what are we planning for to minimize the taxes going forward? And how do we do that today? And that's going to affect us in the next 10, 15, 20 years, as well as our survivors and our whoever we leave behind us. So, in fact, I saw this. This is a great analogy. Tax preparation. Think of a windshield of a car, and tax preparation was the rearview mirror, and tax planning was the whole windshield.
Wow. Because
the rearview mirror is looking backward, and it's recording history. And tax planning is we're looking forward and saying, what does the future look like? And that's really a lot of the things that we're doing. We don't do tax preparation. I don't even do my own. I have someone else help me record the history that I've already done. But that's a significant difference. I want to touch on one other thing Colin said as well. In terms of this planning, if we need to bring in another advisor that is outside our realm, like a CPA or an attorney or whatever, because when people come in to visit with us, we're not just going to look at their financial documents. We're going to look at their tax return. We're going to look at do they have wills, powers of attorney, both kinds, both durable and health powers, and we're going to point out if they have some holes in their plan, we need to fill those holes. And that's not something we do. That's something that a legal professional does. But we said, okay, we're going to, maybe refer you to a couple different people that you can go to get this done. And I think that's a significant difference. And I don't get that, at least my experience is, from someone who's recording history by preparing my income tax.
You're exactly right. Absolutely. Colin, this approach of the comprehensive, holistic financial planning, how is that a benefit to your clients?
When we started looking at things, one of the things, and this is actually kind of partners right off what Dave said, when we're sometimes bringing in other advisors, and we're, looking at and bringing, some of the best advice we possibly can. But one of the key things, too, that we look at might be your car insurance. And we don't offer that, and we don't want to offer that. But when we look at something like that, what we're specifically looking for is, hey, what are our possible liability limits, and is there possibly an umbrella policy in place? So reason why we're looking at this is, this is a stage of protection that we want to protect the nest egg that was earned, and something simple as an accident that could occur. Attorney might get hired and might come after you or your insurance carrier, and if those limits aren't correct, you might have some potential, hazards with your actual retirement nest egg, and we want to look at that. And a lot of advisors won't do that. And it's funny when you see a client that leaves and said, my advisor never discussed any of these things. Dave was talking last night about a story of another advisor, and they said, we were with this guy for 10 years. And we learned more in the last 1 hour with you than we learned with 10 years of being with our prior. So that's huge, because we're just taking such a detailed approach in that, from the tax planning, from the investment planning, from income planning, healthcare planning, and legacy planning. When we start looking at all of these angles, you're putting all of the pieces to this puzzle together, and it gives just a clear picture. And this is where true peace of mind comes into play. This is retirement time. You don't want to worry about this stuff. You don't want to worry about when you turn on the TV and there's bad news because it sells, and you can kind of get caught up in it. And we get glued into that. This is your retirement. This is what you worked for. What do you want to do?
Yes.
What do you want to do? Is it travel? Is it see the world? I want to play with grandkids. I want to garden. Do I want to work in charities? That's what you want to worry about. Not, do I have income? How are things going? Do I have to worry about taxes that are coming up into the future? No, we have a team that's going to help take care of that for you.
That's fantastic. Dave, if there's someone in the viewing audience right now and they're asking themselves, do I need a financial advisor? What guidance do you have for those folks?
I think the answer to the question, if someone were to seek my advice and say, should I seek your advice as a financial advisor? I'm going to say, well, I mean, I have to know where they are. It's like going to a doctor. Who needs a doctor? Well, should I go to a doctor? I don't know. So I would need to know more about the individual in terms of where they are now in their financial accumulation, if you will, what their plans are for the future. And we also ask about family issues. Do we have children? Do we have grandchildren? Sometimes we have children, and one of those children is a wild child, and we need to maybe address that. So that this gets back to the whole planning thing, but the answer to the question is, we might bring up some things in the process of just asking them questions that they didn't think about, and I'm going to say that's the reason that they maybe should be talking to a financial advisor, and as opposed to doing it yourself. I got a good quote. Vanguard did a study, and I think it was over a 10-year period, and it was they made a study of if somebody had $500,000 and they tried to do their investments by themselves, at the end of 10 years, on average, they had about $1.6 million. Okay, that's a pretty good deal. But if they had a financial advisor advising them as opposed to doing it by themselves, they had about $3.4 million. And this is from Vanguard.
I saw that study. It was eye-opening.
It was.
Yes.
I think it was the New York Times asked them about that survey, and they said, here's our experience with this. And this is interesting because Vanguard typically is someone, I'll do it by myself and I'll go to Vanguard because they have cheap fees or, whatever. But they're not independent. I mean, we use Vanguard too, so some of our portfolios. But having a financial advisor, I think, is going to make a significant difference, not just in the accumulation, but the distribution and the taxation. And how is that going to pass to families and those sorts of things? So I think all those things kind of come together.